That's really the case for our dear friend and colleague Jay Martin Jr. Now, Jay's road to success took many twists and turns, but his attitude of never give up has him now at the helm of a popular podcast, now backed by Converge Media. He's also just become a local and national TV host for PBS, and y'all, he's just getting started. So here we are on this soundstage where you now host. Is this a dream come true?
It is a dream come true. It's been like 19 years waiting for it. And I remember the day when I finally got the yes, and to walk in here and to have the experience, it's like none other. So I'm just truly thankful for every opportunity.
I see the magic and the light glistening around you. Your path to TV host is unconventional in the best of ways. Tell me how you ended up as a national host for PBS.
Well, I started out actually here at KCTS 9 in 2021. Now, we all know, at that time we were still in the heaviness of the pandemic, and I actually wanted to let go of doing anything television because I was kind of tired. You've been waiting so long for something, and so I remember getting the yes finally, and my great friend Andrew Coleman Smith, you might know him, he sent me a message saying, you don't know what text message, email, or phone call could change your life. And it was 3 weeks later, I got a yes, for this opportunity. And so you fast forward, you begin doing the work. So I'm starting with nature, actually, and there's different shows that PBS does that is so phenomenal. But my first opportunity is actually 2 different pieces, and it's based on the show Nature. So I'm going to be able to talk to the audience at large, to America, and be able to just how we can support, continue the journey of supporting public broadcasting.
The first time I met you, you had reached out to me because you had been doing a podcast.
Right.
And you reached out to me after I shared my story on the Me Too movement. And as I've told you at that time, I wasn't sure if I'd done the right thing.
Right.
But you came to me with this incredible podcast. You made me feel heard, and like what I was doing was important. Tell me about that podcast, because I'm sure you made a lot of other people feel important as well.
I started the podcast where it's now in its 6th season. And here's the interesting thing about it. Growing up, I was very insecure of my voice. I didn't have the voice that was like deep and, and so I had the higher voice, which was more like my grandmother's. And so I was very insecure. But, almost 5 years ago, a friend told me, you should start a podcast. Give people what you always wanted to receive. Give them space to breathe. And my grandmother did that for me for years. And so the podcast was about passion, purpose, and possibility. Stories of hope, short stories. And people came on and they shared, and it changed not just my perspective, but other people's perspective as well, too. And so forever, I'm grateful. And now it's with Converge Media as well. It's landed. It has a home now. Shout out to Converge. I'm very thankful for them.
So glad that they took that.
So grateful. So we're still continuing with that journey as well.
You mentioned your grandmother. I know that there were a lot of people that had a huge impact on the person that you are, but your grandmother was something special, right?
Yes. My hero. I'm trying not to cry.
Make me cry.
My hero. She was the person in my life that when it seemed really dark, she was that light for me. And she would push me and she would say, Jay, what do you see? What do you see? And I would say, oh, I see these things happening. And just, but where do you see yourself? Do you see yourself having space in this world, making a difference? And for that, I'm so grateful. She was like that beacon of hope. And throughout, I remember her coming because she was, she's from Buffalo, and I'm from Buffalo, New York. Shout out to Buffalo.
Shout out Buffalo, our ancestral home as well.
Yes. And but she would travel, come all the way 3,000 miles, and she took me to my first play. She would talk about different stories, and we would watch award shows together. So she was always that person in my life that imparted wisdom, gave me truth. She was hard on me too. She wouldn't let me get away with things, but that's what a grandmother's for, right? And so she was just that person in my life that really just helped guided me. And for that, I'm forever thankful. And I hope to continue her legacy. She was a dresser. She lived life.
You are continuing that legacy for sure.
Oh my goodness,
You've told me before that you wish that there was someone who looked like you when you were growing up and watching TV. Yeah. Do you hope that you now serve as an inspiration to the young Black community? I do. I'm so grateful. You know, I look back to the day I got my yes, and I begin to think about the one. I talk about the one. You know, when you see somebody that looks like you and they're doing something, and it may not be exactly what you want to do, but it gives you hope that there's a bigger world out there. I hope that I can create space that, you know, sometimes people begin to make it and they shut the door. My goal in life is to swing the door wide open for opportunities for other people as well, my people. I hope that little boys and girls will see, if they see me on television and they say, you know what, I can do that too. And so I look at, like, we're some of us, you know, we're pioneers. We're out here pioneering. We're doing something different. But I hope that the next generation coming up will be able to pick the flowers, the harvest, from what we've been able to do and establish today. You had mentioned a few years ago you received a real hard no from a place that you thought was safe for you. Yeah. How did you get through that moment, and how do you continue to face adversity and approach life with such joy and passion? Well, you know, my grandma, mentioning her, she really walked me through this space of forgiveness. And she would say, you know, and people have heard this before, forgiveness is not for the other person, it's really for you. Because once you walk down that path of letting something go, and sometimes it's tough. You know, at that time in my life, it was the pandemic. I really thought, you know, I wasn't doing television on this level, so I thought I would go for the job opportunity. And then you get a hard no, and then you see the things happening in the world with our people, and it's just like, when will we ever get a chance to breathe? Yeah. And so I had to learn how to walk through the space of forgiveness, even when it seems like, why would you do that to me? Why would something like that happen? But I think there's something beautiful in the aspect of letting something go so you can embrace something else. There's been so many different spaces that have allowed me just to be my most authentic self, and for that, I'm forever grateful.
Okay, he was preaching there. That was a good word.
Gosh. I am so excited for Jay and all the cool stories he's yet to tell us.
Yeah, congratulations to him. So, as you mentioned earlier, so much more to come. Just getting started.
Yeah.
Well, we are also excited.